A report released this year estimated that moving to a net zero emissions economy by 2050 could create nearly 4 million new jobs in Canada. What, in your view, is the best way to ensure that Canada takes advantage of our green jobs potential while reducing emissions? The first response will go to Mr. Crone.
Thank you very much. In the plan that I presented, which is called Climate Justice, we're talking about the need to invest, and we're talking about investments. This is not spending we're talking about something that will move Canada forward. We're lagging behind countries, especially in Europe, but also behind China in terms of investing in those technologies, investing in research, development, and innovation. So over and above what's being invested right now, I'm proposing to invest $90 billion in the next 10 years to speed up the investments that we'll need to do in research and development and partnering with the private sector to move towards that transition towards renewable, so investing in green industries and green technology. But we also need to make those investments to speed up electrification of transport, which is what we're not talking about when we're talking about fighting climate change. We need to make those investments in rail, in higher speed rail, to ensure that we can find a substitute for the all-polluting plane travel.
Mr. Singh.
Thank you very much. This is going to be one of the biggest obstacles and challenges of our generation. And to do this, we have to be very serious about the steps we need to take. I've proposed a green climate change plan, a climate change action, which talks about some of the steps we can take. So first off, we have an incredible abundance of green and renewable energy in our country, but it's not connected. So one of the ideas I'm proposing is building a national, publicly owned supergrid, which connects the renewable energy that we know exists in abundance in Manitoba and Quebec to other provinces, to create a grid across the country to electrify our entire country. This could allow for opportunities to feed in with solar and wind power. This would create jobs across the country. This is an innovative strategy. We also need to make sure that economic justice is not left behind. We cannot have environmental justice without economic justice. And that means we need to make sure there's transitions for workers to move into renewable, long-lasting, sustainable employment.
Mr. Angus.
The #1 location in the world right now for creating a solar economy is South Central Alberta. If you take the best locations in Germany, they don't meet the worst locations in Alberta. So I was in Alberta meeting with the energy workers, the IBEW, who are training their workers. They see the future of a diversified energy economy and they say, where's the federal government? That's the fundamental question. We have to start talking about the opportunities, the incredible opportunities in Gaspésie for wind, the ability to make a solar economy. I would disagree with my colleague, Mr. Singh, about a big national grid mega project. I think what we need to do is we have to start working with investing with cities, the federal government working with cities that are the front line of climate change. Because the more we diversify and localize energy, the less of a cost it will be, and the more sustainable our communities. So I have proposed that we get a national project, Crown Corporation, that can do the partnerships with cities, with Indigenous communities, and with provinces to have public infrastructure sustainable.
Ms. Ashton.
Well, first I want to begin by talking about, sharing, I guess, my thoughts with so many in British Columbia that have gone through a summer full of forest fires. We know many people across our continent and around the world are struggling with the impacts of climate change right now. And it is about the fate of our planet. And what we need is political will to act. I'm proud that our campaign has put forward a bold platform for environmental justice. In fact, we were the first campaign to put forward an idea of creating a Crown Corporation, Green Canada, to direct investment, federal investment, when it comes to building towards a green transition and a carbon-free economy. I also think it's very important that we make investments in green housing up to the tune of about $10 billion as we've put forward, recognizing that we can tackle climate change by addressing the needs of our communities across this country. And finally, let's build that movement as New Democrats, as progressives, to take on climate change today as it is so urgent.
Thank you very much, everyone.